Tracy here to show you how I made these adorable gnomes on some bunting. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so here I have some supplies I've already gotten ready. I've got a little silicone brush, I've got a pencil and a ruler and a hole punch. And I've made one of the backgrounds for the buntings for you ahead of time. And then I've made 6 more of the little, this is the A2 tree frame die out of some sparkly black paper, and then I've got some blue background paper and my little moons. And here I've got some specialty paper, and you don't have to use specialty paper, you can use all plain papers, but this is a paper that I have covered a piece of vellum in, and it's kind of a sticky, it's almost like a, I don't know, it's a sticky paper. Anyway, I'm going to show you how to make the glitter ghosts here. And so first I'm going to take this big old roll, and I want to say that's a good 6 inches wide, of double-sided sticky tape that I got from scrapbook.com, and I'm sticking it down to a piece of vellum. And I'm going to cover the full page, and I'll probably do more than one of these because I'm doing 6 or 7 of the little gnomes. I'm doing them in a rainbow colors. And I'm just going to trim off this excess here. And it's a little sticky, so it helps to use either a knife or your nonstick scissors if you have them. So I'm going to just go ahead and burnish this down to make sure that it is good and tight next to that vellum. And I just flip it over and burnish the other side, and we're ready to go. So there's 2 ways you can do this. I'm going to show you one way, and here is my rainbow color glitter, and this is glitter I've colored myself, and I'm going to demonstrate how to color the rock candy glitter because it is a translucent glitter, and that's what we want for our ghosts. So I'm going to put a little piece of paper down here because it's really hard to clean glitter off of that background. I'm just going to pour a little glitter in. When I made those little containers, I measured it in the container and then dropped it in. I'm going to drop in just a few drops of a little turquoise. And I want a light turquoise color, so I didn't put in a bunch, but you can always add more if it's too dark, but you can't add less. So then I'm just going to go ahead and mix this around, and it just takes a few moments to get it mixed up. And you want to kind of press it up against whatever you're mixing in to kind of break up any lumps. And once you've got it all nice and well mixed in, and I'm just tapping to make sure I don't have any big giant lumps in there, then you can take another piece of paper or whatever surface you have that you can move because you don't want it right in front of you or you're going to have glitter everywhere, and just pour the glitter out and let it dry, and then put it in a container. So in order to do the little ghosty gnomes, I'm going to show you how to do it with the gnome figure already cut out. But you can glitter your paper ahead of time and then cut it. It also cuts just fine. So either way, so I've got the oh so spooky gnome, and I'm going to get his body and his hat and his little arms. You don't see me putting his little arms because, to be perfectly honest with you, I forgot to do his arms. And so I had to do them later. But I digress. I'm going to go ahead and cut these out, but you want to cut them out not on this side, but on the side that has the writing on it. So that's the side where you're going to pull the sticky tape off. So I'm just going to kind of fit these in here so I can economically cut apart my paper, and that's part of the reason why I did the glittery this way, so you don't have a bunch of leftover glittery paper. I'll go ahead and take my platinum and cut these out so that you can see that happening. Typically, I'll cut everything out on my Vagabond, which is across the room. Because I'm an old person and my arms get tired of cranking. Let's be honest here. So I've got my 2 little pieces cut out, and I should have cut out the sleeves too, but I did that off camera, so don't worry, the sleeves will get done. I just forgot about them because that's the nature of me. And I've got here some freezer paper if you don't have any backer paper. I happen to have a lot of it because I save it, and I do this a lot. So I'm going to pull the sticky off. Let me grab my tweezers here so I can have some, or grab something. And this is what that little silicone brush is for, because this will stick to your fingers like mad. And so in order to not sit there and fight the back and forth game, I know you know what I'm talking about when you're working with something sticky and you go to hold it down and your other finger gets stuck, and then you hold it with another finger to get your other finger off. And I'm just going to pour the glitter all over it. Nice and thick, it doesn't matter. And you can, at this point, if you want to, pat that down with your hands. And I do off camera because I just can't be asked to have so much stuff laying around. But this is the cleanest way to do it. So I just kind of burnish that glitter down, and then I'm going to tap off all of the excess. I'm going to set it aside. I'm going to get any big lumps. I didn't let my red glitter dry well enough, so I've got some lumps in there. But that's okay. They'll be fine. I'll move those aside, and I'll pour my glitter back into my container over something. Get it off there best I can, and then scrape the rest off into my trash can. Not a big deal. It's not as much as you think. I mean, you can work at it if you want to. And then I'm going to set these back down on that release paper, and I'm just going to burnish down really well with my little bone folder here, just to make sure that all the glitter is nice and stuck and there's none coming off. Nothing worse than giving somebody a card or something and they're get covered in glitter. And you can see that already my surface has little particles of glitter that I'm going to have to clean off later. So I've got my parts here, and I need to go ahead and put them together. And so we'll put together one gnome, and then I'll do the rest of them off camera. And I'm just putting a little glue to the top of his body, and then I'm sticking him down where those pointy things, where he matches up with the hat and those pointy things stick down. That's where we're going to stick his arms. And you'll want to put something heavy on it because vellum likes to roll when it's wet, and you want it to dry so it doesn't roll. So I'm going to glue the little arms down. And they just glue to these little pieces and fit in nicely on his robe if you get them in the right direction. Let's get those glued down. Whoops. Now, I'm not going to lie, glitter is a little rough to work with. You could work with more double-sided tape if you wanted to, but I'm not going to. So put his little face down, and I'm going to glue it directly down to this glittery part, and then I'm going to glue the little black brim of his hat and his beard. So I'm going to do his beard first, and his beard's done out of that sparkly paper, that sparkly vellum. I'm going to let that dry for a moment. See, I do struggle here a little bit with my arms trying to come off and moving around on me. So, but I'll get those back down there, no worries. I'm going to go ahead and do the brim of his hat. I'll do the little spooky eyes and mouth. And then I'll fix his arms off camera because I got him a mess there. Or I'll do it on camera. I thought I could have sworn I cut that part out, but I guess I didn't. Want to make sure that they're fixed on there properly. There we go. And then I'm going to just glue his little hands down. Just kind of get them where I want them and then stick those sleeves to it. Now, if you don't work with vellum and glitter, then this will stick together like a breeze. I'm going to take what's left on my little red brush here and just kind of brush around the little nose part. And then I'll put a piece of sticky dot on the back and then glue his nose down. And that's our little gnome. So I'm going to do the rest off camera. And here they are. So I've got 6 of them in rainbow colors. And we'll go ahead and start working on the back, the banner part. Or the bunting, whatever the word is that you want to call this. Words are hard. So I'm grabbing a moon. I'm grabbing my little black silhouette here. And I'm grabbing the background piece. And I'm putting the moon down where I want it. And I want it, of course, closer towards the top. And I'm just putting a little bit of glue down on the tree. And sticking the moon basically to the cutout part. Then I will do some ink blending here on this blue piece just to give it a little interest. So I've got some Simon Hurley, and by the way, don't worry about the bottom, you know, on the sides of the bottom, because that's going to get trimmed off. So I'm going to come in with some Simon Hurley Remember Me, and this is just some blue paper from my stash, probably Michael's. Most likely it's Michael's paper because that's, you know, cheap. And, you know, if you're making one of these, you might want to consider backing the pieces as well. I didn't for the video, and because I don't necessarily do Halloween decor or any decor for that matter. So I'm coming in here with a little white to just kind of make a moon halo. And then I'm going to use a little bit of Twisted Citron Distress Oxide for some cloudiness around the moon. I'm going to use a small brush for this and just tap off to the side so it's not too heavy on there. And I'm just going to kind of blend that out around that circly haze that I made. Check my placement here. And then just keep blending it out until it softens. And then blending it over to the side so it kind of looks like some little spooky clouds. And then I'll take my blue and come back in with my little Trinity blending buddy with the white ink and just kind of blend that all out together. And this is ready to go, so I'll just go ahead and glue it down. So I'm not worrying too much again about the bottom corners as I am the top and the bottom middle, because there's a tiny piece that gets left over there that your gnome is going to stand on. And so you want to make sure that that's glued together and the little piece doesn't fall off after you've trimmed this. I'm just going to glue it down straight. Straight as possible, you know, for a human. And then I'm just going to dab off any excess glue. And make sure this is dry. And it doesn't take long to dry. This is art glitter glue. By the time I get it measured out, it's ready to go. So what I'm going to do is make a mark right at the 2 1/8 point at the bottom. And then I'm going to cut from the top corner to the little mark with my guillotine trimmer. And then I'm just going to flip it over and cut the other side. And there I've got my little banner going. You could do more decorating to the background of the banner, but to be honest with you, most of it's going to be covered with the gnome. And then I'm going to put little holes. Now, if you want this to last a long time, year after year after year, and you're gentle with it, it's fine how it is. But if you're, you know, rougher on your stuff, back it and then put some sort of reinforcers in there. But we don't need to do that for this video. Now I'm going to pop the little gnome up. I'm just going to take a little piece of foam tape and put it where the face is. And later on when I do them, I decide to also put a tiny little piece right down in the beard, just for a little balance. So we'll get him popped up on here, and then I'll do the rest of those off camera. And I'm going to use glue and my sticky so that I have a little bit of wiggle room to place him. Okay, and there he is. And then I've got the red one and the purple one done. And aren't they looking cute? So here's all 6 of them. I love these little oh so spooky gnomes. Well, I just love gnomes. But we've got our rainbow going, and that's kind of a light green. In hindsight, I probably would have done a darker green, but that's okay. So now we're going to do the little banner pieces. And when you cut that tree frame die out, it leaves a big old chunk, and that's a useful chunk. So don't throw those away, especially if you're using specialty paper like this glitter paper. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut that down to 1.5 by 2 1/4. And looking at my prototype banner piece, it is actually 1 3/4. Let's see here. So the width here, yeah, is 2 1/4. And you can cut these any size you want. It doesn't matter, but you know, you want them to all be even or not. Maybe you don't. And you don't have to. Then I'm going to trim off, make sure it's lined up, and trim off that bottom part. And then go ahead and trim this down to the 1 1/4. Or 2 1/4, excuse me. So I've got got 1.5 by 2 1/4. And then my little punches are 1.5. Those little circles. They're 1.5 inch. I used a punch to do them. So I'm just checking fit here, and I'm happy with that, and I like it a little bit better than the wider banner. So next I'm going to, now you can eyeball this. I can't. So let me just say, and so I'm going to measure, and I want this to come up, the little middle point, I want it to come up to the 1/2 inch mark. And I draw a line. You don't have to draw a line. I just do it because it helps me visually. Later, you'll want to erase that line. And these pieces are ones that you might want to back. Or you could, alternately, you could fold them, you know, you could do a folded over situation. Then I'm making a mark at the 3/4 inch junction there. And then I'm just going to go ahead and trim this out. Later on, I get brave and I don't do the line. But I don't know why I have such a hard time cutting these doggone things. They're such a simple thing. Like, go ahead and give me something super complex to do and I'm good. But so I'm just going to glue the little moon down to the banner, and I'm going to cut the little holes in it again with my just regular office hole punch. Try not to get them too close to the edges. And I will do 7 of these off camera. Let me zoom back out so you can see what I'm doing. And they're going to go in between our little banners, or our little triangle bunting things. So I've got all of them done, and notice that I've done my bats so that they alternate in position. So when you hang the banner, they're not all sitting in the same spot, but you could do them in the same spot if you wanted to. And I have here just some baker's twine, some black and white baker's twine, and I'm going to string this on the twine. And this ends up being really long, so you know, you want to think about that, where you might hang this. And I could have made it shorter. I could have probably even done without those little banners, but I really wanted it to be quite decorative. So I'm just going to take a little piece of tape here, just a little piece of washi, and put it around the end, wrap it around the end piece of that baker's twine, so that it doesn't fray on me when I'm trying to string it. And so to string it, I'm just going to come up through the one hole, and then I'll go right back down, and I just want to make sure you have plenty of twine, and I'm keeping my twine attached to the roll so that I can move it as needed. And I'm just going to lace those on. We'll grab our first gnome, and I'm keeping them in their rainbow order here. I'm just doing the very same, coming up through the right side, down through the left side, and so on until I've got the whole thing strung together. And try and move things so that your string doesn't attach around other things. It kept grabbing everything on my desk. And I'm leaving a little space between because I'm going to tie some little bits of ribbon, as you see here. And those are just little 6-inch pieces of ribbon that I've tied in a half-hitch knot. And it's really hard to see this on camera. It's like super hard to photograph, but this is what it looks like. And I'll take a still photo. I'll take it outside, and you'll have to excuse the state of my outside, but here's a still photo of them all piled together, and here's one with them outside. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.